then, 6 years ago, Two Stories was formally formed, and just started buying gear, hiring more freelancers, and hired our first full-timer 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it just kind of continued to grow from that point. Now we have five people full-time, myself, Brittany, Dylan, Ryan, and Ken is our senior editor, and then hire about 15 to 20 freelancers very regularly throughout the year.
Yeah. I think even whether you own a production company or you're still freelancing, you're still chasing down paychecks.
Yes.
It's just the nature.
100%.
Always,
the
Yes.
nature of the business. But there's the added pressure now that you have people that work for you. That now you're not the one trying to track down the paycheck. You're trying to track down the paycheck and pay others with it.
Payroll comes around every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He has to make sure I'm not tracking him down for a paycheck.
Right. That's one way to lose employees really quick.
Yeah.
How is that extra pressure on your shoulders, and how did you sort of adapt to that?
For better or for worse, COVID definitely helped kind of curve that fear, if you will. We learned a lot during the COVID year, came out of that side, and funny enough, actually hired Ryan at the end of COVID. Started realizing that we were ramping up on work pretty significantly. Ever since, there's just physically no work during COVID. I mean, ever since, to say we were chasing our tails was an understatement, or is an understatement. Ever since then, just kind of realized, like, yes, payroll comes around every 2 weeks. Rent is due every 30 days. You have all these bills, but the jobs just keep coming. I mean, Tampa Bay as a whole, just there's plenty of work. There really is, and we also have the benefit of having multiple elements to our company. So we're not just commercial, we're not just film, we're not just this. We have multiple avenues of revenue coming in, which really does, I think, help us out.
We stay pretty flexible.
And that's something I want to talk to you guys about now. So let's talk a little bit about what Two Stories is, right? I think the old moniker everyone used to use is production company. I think that's so outmoded, because if all you do is service work, you're not going to be in this business for very long, right?
Sure.
You need to bring on extra things. Like
Absolutely.
So would you identify yourself as a branding company? And if so, like how have you integrated branding into what you're doing when you're talking with clients?
Well, our tagline, funny enough, is where story and brand meet. So, yes, I mean, that's just how it is in today's day and age. I mean, everything is social media, website, digital driven. And if you're not able to integrate your client's brand into what they're telling, then you're not going to get very far in all your collateral. So we work a lot with commercial marketing and advertising agencies, and also within those departments. So if we have we have our own clients as well. So within our clientele, we're dealing with the marketing director or the brand representative or the ad agency that buys for wherever they're selling their products or services. So that is what allows us to continue to move forward and kind of give our clients what they need, is integrating their brand into the story element of what they're trying to tell.
Yeah. I think if you look at the production companies that are in Tampa Bay, or really anywhere in the U.S., and you look at their catalog of work, clients go to those particular production companies because they have a specific look or feel to them, which is largely driven by the creative people above the line within that production company or branding company. What, in your opinion, is your style and what makes it unique?
That's a great question, actually. I thought I had it for a second, and then I was like,
I looked at all your reels, and they're very distinct. Like, you look at anyone else in the area, and it's completely different.
Yeah, we definitely have a style, and I think, like you said, it just comes from the people that are doing it. I don't know that I can classify it as something other than it's just us.
Yeah.
Right?
Then is there a particular client or particular product or type of creative video or package that you seem to be drawn to, or you draw enough clients from those particular sectors that sort of defines who you guys are?
That's a good question.
We were actually just recently talking about this internally because two external individuals kind of asked us and kind of dove into it a little bit more. We do not focus on any one sector, if you will. What we have come to realize is our style is a little bit more bright, vibrant, and color driven. So we will lean into color significantly in a lot of our collateral, which helps us with selling our services to clients and other entities. that's kind of what we've realized. I mean, we do work for University of South Florida, several of their colleges. Obviously, the green and the gold is something that we lean into pretty heavily. We've done stuff for Tampa International Airport, and then we also do work up in Jacksonville with a company called Farah and Farah. They're a law firm. Go over to Orlando, and we have organizations like Tee It Up for the Troops that we do a lot of work with. Go down to Sarasota with Trademark Interiors. So we're all over Florida, but then when you hone in the visuals of it all, I mean, you just see the color, the brighter elements kind of come through in all of those different looks.
I think that's spot on. That is what I'm drawn to when I look at your reel of productions you've done. Is it is so clean and bright and vibrant, and if I can use the word happy, like it just has it's a really good positive emotion to it. And I think sometimes, particularly if you went through a film school, you're drawn to that like
moody,
grittier, moody,
noir,
more cinematic look. Not to be pedantic for that, but like, and that works for some clients, but not for all clients.
Yes,
and Farah and Farah is a great example because
that was a little more contrasty and moody. Yeah,
but we were able to integrate that pop of color, and when we had the highlights kind of integrated in, they were on they were on the verge of blooming, but that was what we wanted. But man, was it contrasty. I mean, you were actually
very contrasty.
You were the one who gaffed the project, and we had a very distinct lookbook, and we were going back and forth
very heavily
to
making sure it was the right shapes, the right amount of contrast without going too far,
giving the client what they were wanting, but we were also dealing with an agency. We were the production company working for the agency who's working for the client. And, we were brought on because of the color and the poppy element that they wanted, but the agency wanted to ensure that we were seeing significant amount of shape and contrast, that normal film noir look that you were just mentioning. So we all had to play nice, but it's ultimately what the client wanted. And I think we integrated it really well.
Yeah, came out great.
You've been doing this, you said for 5 years, even though you had the LLC for 9. Has the pandemic aside, has the focus of clients shifted over time from sort of traditional 30, 60-second packages to being younger and younger demographic, focusing more and more on social media?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even to the extent of the last, 4 months, we've actually been getting requests to deliver vertical content as well. So not only are we going to shoot a 30 or 60 second or, a little 15-second ad for Tampa International, we did 3 15 seconds for them. But they're also starting to ask for vertical content on top of it. So, I mean, everybody seems to be pushing that direction of content for social, online, rather than your traditional.
And when you're thinking about a brand, how do you integrate a story you're trying to tell in more of a longer length platform, like a 30, 60 second, and then pare that same story down to 15 seconds, but still have a cohesion across all platforms? Like, how difficult is that to sort of wrap your head around as far as storytelling goes?
I don't think it's that difficult at all. I mean, you have a 60 second and you're going to have cut downs. I mean, that's part of what storytelling is you have to be able to tell that story in different manners and across different platforms, especially with how things are nowadays. So I don't personally think it's overly difficult. I think we'll run into the occasional complicated story piece. I mean, we've had Creative Women was a good example where we had a 6-minute final deliverable.
7 final, I think the initial was a 5.
Okay.
But we ended up over that. But the first cut was more like 8 because it was like we had so much good content.
Yeah.
But there was also 2 30-second vertical and a 15-second vertical.